Stand to your feet, stand to your feet, stand to your feet. And we're about to bring up, and I want you to do sit live fashion. I want to feel all the energy up here on the stage as we bring in the one and the only legendary Les Brown. Sit live, let me hear you make some noise.
Lovely day, most certainly it is. Give yourselves a round of applause.
Les, we are excited to have you here.
I've had a great time. I've taken pictures with everybody.
No, not everybody. No, not everybody. Not everybody. You took pictures.
I just saw the ones over here. I didn't
mastermind.
see over here.
Yeah. You took picture with the mastermind. We're not gonna have time to take picture with everybody, but we know you got a good heart.
Thank you.
So
You treat me like I'm 80.
So Les, I've been looking forward to this conversation, and this is a full circle moment because I would not be sitting on this stage if it wasn't for you. You showed me what was possible. And you gave me the tools to make it happen. So I want to lead off the conversation for those that maybe are in a place and they're still questioning what's possible. And I invite you to go back to being in that place as a disc jockey. And what was the moment for you where you finally realized what was possible and you decided to step into your calling?
As a disc jockey or a speaker?
As a speaker.
As a speaker. To me, when I was going to seminars and workshops, and I saw the value of that, and I said, hey, I can do this. And I told the story yesterday. How many of you had an experience of being at an event and you felt that speech was for you? Raise your hands. And that was happening for me. And for 14 years, I was suffering from possibility blindness because I didn't see anybody look like me. And then it dawned on me, if you're part of the majority and you need motivation, possibility thinking, positive thinking, what do you need if you're systematically excluded? The need is even greater.
Yeah.
And so when as I mentioned, being in this audience and this guy, just to go to the bottom line, I represent the thoughts you have rejected for yourself. That was a gut punch. And I decided I'm going to do this. I think we all have moments that pushes over the edge. And that was a moment for me. And I like to say that when you think about when we got together, it was a $500,000 a day industry. It's $1 billion a day now. And with over 300 million people being replaced by artificial intelligence, it's now going to be less than 3 years over $1 trillion a day People have to invest in themselves, to reinvent themselves, to pivot, to upgrade their skill level, and carve out a new place for themselves in an economy that used to provide job opportunities, but now that day is gone. The 40-40 plan is gone. You can graduate from college and get a job and work for 40 years and retire on 40%, which wasn't enough in the first place. That day is gone. And so this place where you are, I was just thinking about as you were talking. Let's think about how many people would be here if some of the popular comedians were hosting this. Let's think about that. You know, I remember when I saw Cat Williams being interviewed with a guy named Shay Shay. 58 million people watched that.
Right. Yeah. Shannon Sharp.
All right, just think about that. The road to life is straight and narrow, and few there be that find it. You're part of the few. There are people that you're going to reach that Andy and I will not reach. We're talking about a time where the suicide rate among young people has increased dramatically. We're talking about people graduating from college in debt and can't find a job and have to move back home. It's a different place where we are. And with all the disruptions and disruptions that are taking place, your skill set that you develop on how to tell your story, to give people mental resilience, the need for that is greater than ever before. But you've done something that Harvard University verified. You created a community. Community is very important. Relationships matter. How many of you know that to be true?
Yes.
Yeah, so when you're in alignment with other people at Harvard University, they did this 78-year study. They wanted to know what was it that the 1%ers had in common that allowed them to accomplish their goals. And what they found, they were in a community. They had a reference group of collaborative, achievement-driven, supportive relationships. People had values and goals and dreams in a community that challenged them and brought the best out of them and pushed them and helped them to discover parts of themselves that they would never discover by themselves. So give yourselves a round of applause. Bring the energy all up. Bring it up.
Yes, I think back being in the Platinum Speaker Program and being in the room and watching how many lives you were impacting, transferring the same level of confidence and skill. But as the years progressed, it was only a handful that I saw that really deployed it. When you think of the thousands that you have trained, the millions that you have impacted, what do you think is the differentiator for the handful of those that actually took the skill and deployed it and did something significant?
There are people who you take their sight and you have a Stevie Wonder. You take their ability to walk and you have a Roosevelt. And your mother's in the audience. And when I heard the story about your mother, her defiance, her determination, her dedication, her standing up for her dream, for her family, you come from the stock of greatness. His mother's right here. Give her a round of applause. And when you told me the story, and I've had you tell me the story so many times, because my mother told me stories a lot. My brothers and sisters would be outside playing, and I said, "Mama, tell me that story again." She said, I've told you that story before. I said, I know, but tell me again, because I found it so fascinating. And we live within stories.
Yeah.
And so when we look at, we're living in a time where the narrative that's dominating the collective thinking of people, there's a time you can disagree and yet still be agreeable.
Mm-hmm.
But now, you disagree with someone on politics and they see us an enemy.
Yeah.
That's not normal. So I think that the reason we're here and what we're called to do is to bring a message of peace, of harmony, and togetherness, the things that we can do together. And when I look at you, I realize that most people are not what they call skaters. If you take their vision, they're going to find a way to win. If you take their ability to communicate, you're going to find them communicating through technology. That there are certain people that no matter where you throw them, they're going to make something out of it. And the people that are attracted to you, whether they know it or not, what's in you is also in them.
That's good.
And they might not even be aware of it right now. But the reason that they're here is because they identify with you. Identity is very important. Dr. Carter G. Woodson said, if you can determine what a man shall think, you never have to concern yourself with what he will do. He said, if you can make a man feel inferior, you never have to compel him to seek an inferior status, for he will seek it himself. And if you can make a man feel justly an outcast, you never have to order him to go to the back door. He'll go without being told. And if there's no door, his very nature will demand one. So your approach to life is designed to eliminate the virus of HIV, hood-infected virus, AIDS, addiction to incarceration, and death syndrome.
Come on now.
And to inspire people to live a life that they can be proud of, as opposed to living a life of regret. Just imagine, here we are living in the wealthiest country on the planet. There are people who have exposure to the same information we have, and when they die, they have GoFundMe funerals.
Right.
GoFundMe. That, you know, when I discovered my father lived in Gainesville, and I'll never forget when I was with my twin brother. And in Gainesville, the cemeteries are connected to the church. So my oldest son did a genetic search and found out the lady that had a passion for connecting kids who were adopted with their birth family. She turned out to be our first cousin. So they took me to the cemetery, and our birth mother's name was Dorothy Bell Rucker, and she was a motivational speaker. She spoke with Mary McLeod Bethune and other inspirational speakers. And people were coming up telling us stories. Oh, your mother taught me, and she played the piano, and she could sing, and she was my mentor. And then they said, come over here on the other side of the cemetery, where your father is buried. So he took me over on the other side, and Wesley was holding his hand because he was a combat soldier and injured his knees jumping out of airplanes, paratrooper. And so she said, he's buried there. I said, where? I said, there's no tomb there. So she bent down and picked up a little stick, and it had Oliver on there. That was his name. There were no stories about him. I said, does it have a tombstone? No. Name just written on this little stick so they don't bury somebody on top of it. And Wesley started crying. And right then, I became even more convicted in my spirit that I'm going to live a life that matters.
Yes.
That's why you're all in this room.
Yeah.
You want your life to count.
Yes.
But most people are not thinking like that. We've been indoctrinated with consuming entertainment as opposed to living a life that will outlive us. And so you're answering the call. I've seen a lot of people, but you're different. But I bet you, I got in my phone, I don't have Andy, I have the great one. How many of you know you can see certain people and you know that's the one?
Yes.
Yeah, and so that's why I say, I'm coming down here, I'll go work for you. I took pictures with half of the people. Let me correct myself up there. I answered questions yesterday.
Yes.
I was at the breakfast, day before yesterday. I was at the breakfast early this morning at 7 o'clock. Now I'm here on the Kmart special, but and he said, I'm gonna work your behind while you here. You might be 80, but I'm gonna work you up here. But I have had such a wonderful time, and just watching you and what you're doing. And when I decided that I wanted to speak outside of corporations and do public events and learn how to turn my story to profit, I called you. There are a lot of people in this space in the industry, and I called you. I said, Stark, tell Andy I want to sing. And you took time with me and coached me. And I really appreciate the value, the time that you took with me. You didn't rush. And you know my style of learning, and you know me. And you kept telling me, now this is the way you would want to do this because of how you think and your personality. That won't work in this space. So you've got to have somebody that's going to call you on your stuff. That's why I don't cut him any slack at all. All right? Yeah. Next question, please.
Yeah, so when I was in the Platinum
Did
Speaker
I answer
program.
the question?
Yeah. When I was in the Platinum Speaker program, I was looking for a secret strategy to develop my voice and become a speaker. And I remember initially I was asking you a question, and I would find different times to ask you the question, and no matter when I asked you the question, you had the same response. And honestly, when you first gave me that response, I was like, why does he say that? And your response was that, Andy, speakers speak. And so I said, but Les, but what I'm trying to do is I want to do this, and I'm trying to figure out how to do this. And you said, listen, speakers speak. And it was probably the 5th time that you told me that I finally got it. And I started to look for opportunities to speak, no matter where it was.
Yes.
Elementary school, my mom's friend that I don't even know, and she says, can I speak at the funeral? I'm like, Mom, I don't even know this person. It's okay, NC. You should go speak for them. And I'm speaking at a eulogy, I don't even know the person. But you kept telling me speakers speak.
Yes, because when you have a calling on your life, you love it so much you do it for nothing. You do it so well that people pay you to do it. And you will speak, and each time you speak, you discover things about the audience, but more importantly, you discover something about yourself.
Yeah.
And I remember when I spoke in Marysville Prison. It's a prison in Ohio, a women's prison. And when they brought me in, I heard a lady say from the back of the room, "Give me life." I said, "Who's?" She said, "Speak life to me, sir." And I was just shocked, And so the lady who brought me in, she said, they've been listening to your recordings. And she's been here for about 23 years. And that came out of nowhere for me. And I spoke and I gave it everything that I had. And then I asked, I said, "Can I see her?" She said, "No. It'll be a security risk." But what it told me, there are some people that's your assignment. that you are supposed to speak to. There's something about you, about your personality, something about your story, something about what you went through when life slapped you around.
Yeah.
Something about how you handled a setback. And now at 80, I'm looking at all the things that I've dealt with. There's a quote I love: in life, you will always be faced with a series of God-ordained opportunities, brilliantly disguised as problems and challenges. What we see as problems and challenges, it's a God-ordained opportunity to discover who we are. Had I not been fired from WVKO radio station, I would have never became a state legislator. Had my sister not called me and said, Mama has breast cancer, I would not be a speaker now. I resigned from the Ohio legislature. I was going to run for lieutenant governor. I was elected for the third time overwhelmingly. But all of these various things, even being diagnosed with cancer, I remember my oncologist, who was very brilliant, Dr. Alfred Golson, very brilliant oncologist. He said, Mr. Brown, I got bad news for you. I said, what is it? You got 4th-stage cancer. I said, is there anything else? He said, yes. It's metastasized to 7 areas of your body. And I smiled. He asked me, why are you smiling? I said, man, 7 is my lucky number. I was born February the 17th. I'm one of 7 children. Joshua marched around the walls of Jericho 7 times. Naaman dipped himself in the river Jordan 7 times.
Yeah.
I said, 7 is my lucky number. I said, is there anything else? He said, yes. I said, what is it? He said, and you're ugly too. I said, man, this is serious. He said, I know. But I never tell my patients they're terminally ill. What I say is that my skill set has terminated. I determine the diagnosis. You and God determine the prognosis.
Yeah, that's good.
I talked to a lady today. I did a Zoom call. And she said, bye, Les Brown, I'll be gone by June. I said, how do you know that? I said, did God tell you that? Or somebody with a stethoscope around their neck telling you that? When people hear a negative statement about their health condition, studies indicate that their immune system's capacity to protect them dropped by 40%.
Wow.
That's why the book of life says death and life is in the tongue. Because we speak more death than we do life.
Right.
And so this is why the words that you speak and why you're needed now more than ever before. This space where we are is reminiscent of me coming up as a kid. And so this time, everything I've gone through, what you've gone through, has prepared us for this.
Yeah.
That we were born and preserved for such a time as this. If people went to sleep last night, they didn't wake up this morning.
Yeah.
So we are the chosen ones. And I believe that with all my heart.
Yeah.
Let's talk about staying power. Unless you have people in their careers, they have moments of greatness, but they can't sustain it. They're here today, they're gone tomorrow. You have been at this for
53 years.
5 decades. Yeah, 5 decades sounds good.
5 decades.
5 decades. 5 decades and a little extra 3 years. Go ahead. When you look around those that have come and gone, and your ability to still be relevant, impactful, legendary, and here on this stage still delivering value, sharp as a tack, what has allowed you over all these years to keep your iron sharp and to keep the course and continue to evolve to still be able to make the impact that you're making today.
Socrates says, a man's reach is to supersede his grasp, or what are the heavens for? I told my grandchildren, they asked me, Papa, what would you want us to know as we get older? And I said, live your life the way you want to live your life. If I got a call and I was told that this is my last day on earth, I would still do this engagement. Because this is me, this is my life, this feeds my spirit. I told my children, if they told you I died, don't let them embalm me for 3 days. Sneak in the morgue, put a microphone in my hand. If I don't grab and say, you gotta be holy! Call your brothers and sisters and say, Daddy's gone. Here's what I encourage all of you to do. No more than your story. I was here in Fort Lauderdale, and I spoke for this pharmaceutical company, and they had signs up called the Danger Zone. So I had already spoken, got a standing ovation, and there were doctors who flew in from around the world to compete for this contract. And so I saw Danger Zone, and after I finished speaking, I sat by the CEO. I said, what does Danger Zone stand for? And he said, we're teaching doctors how to communicate with their patients to tell them if they don't take their medication, that put the fear of God in them, that they can die or have a stroke. So I asked him, do you have hypertension? He said, yes, I do. I asked him, why do you take your medication? He said, I want to live. I said, then why are you having a fear-based campaign? He said, can you train doctors? I said, absolutely. I got the contract. The doctors came in there talking about their practice and talking about the impact of the medication and what will happen if the patients are not compliant. I talked to the man who wrote the check and found out what motivates him and made sure my information was in alignment with what he spoke. That contract for 1 month, 16 speeches, $640,000.
Man.
Come on.
After marriage earned $240,000 in their lifetime. So now, Andy would have done the same thing. What I love about Andy, he is a perpetual student. So I don't have to say to him, no more than your story. But I don't know y'all like I know him. And I'm saying to you that there are people who they think they can get a quick buck, or they just want to get on stage and tell their story. Everybody's got a story. And if your story is real bad, people don't care. And they're glad it's you and not them. So you have to tell your story strategically in a way so they see themselves in your story. And he knows that. And what I love, when he was teaching me how to monetize my story outside of speaking for corporations, because you can't do a sales presentation, that he taught me in a way of not sounding salesy. People don't want to be sold. People, they buy into you. That's what I got from your coaching. That they want to identify with you. They want to relate to you. They want to feel a connection with you. That makes you AI-proof. AI cannot create an experience where people can identify with the computer or the content or relate to it or feel a connection to it. And so you're doing something that's so very important. And with Andy, you had Alicia Little here, the technology queen. And when you look at where we are, two things is most important. One, your story. And two, leveraging your story so you can use artificial intelligence to monetize it and to impact more people. This is a skill set that's very important. I mean, just think, I'm from Miami, south of here, born in an abandoned building on the floor. 1945, for February the 17th, they told my birth mother when she was in labor, you can't come here. We don't accept colored people. So they drove around and found an abandoned building and gave birth to my twin brother and I. And so when I met Mr. Washington, which you remind me so much of him, and he told me, young man, develop your communication skills, because once you open your mouth, you tell the world who you are. Practice the principle of OQP, only quality people. Develop your mind. You don't get in life what you want, you get in life what you are. You are the embodiment of that. And so what I admire about Andy is there are people who they give him a message, but they're not the messenger. They're not the message. Am I making sense with you?
Yes.
Yeah. There is learned experience and there's lived experience. He learns and he's living it. He's doing it. And so that's why I was so excited to come here, because there's enough for everybody. 7 billion people on the planet. And some of you in here take what you learn from Andy and have this ongoing relationship. That $1 trillion a day money, some of us got your name on it, honey. I had no idea. There are things that you're going to do and things you're going to inspire other people to do that they don't even know they can do. And so the value of speaking and putting in the work and being the message, there's a level of conviction that you have in your spirit. I told the story today when a guy paid a lot of money, certified check. I don't know if I tell the story about, and to train me how to speak for AT&T, Procter & Gamble, McDonald's Corporation, General Electric, IBM, Xerox. If you go online and put in Les Brown, you deserve, you see me speaking to a primarily all-white audience. And my followers have been over 97% white. And, you know, black people know me as Les Brown, who was married to Gladys Knight. White people know me as Les Brown, who changed my life. And so, but what this experience has taught me, this journey, I didn't see a lot of stuff I'm experiencing. I didn't see it coming. And so you're going to help people. There's a gentleman who works with you. He was in the audience. A guy was standing staring at me after one of my events. And I thought he's going to buy a product, and he didn't. And then he came up to me because my kids were getting nervous. Why is he here? And he said, would you hold your hand out? And I said, yes, sir. I held my hand out. And he dropped a bullet in my hand. Boom. He said, that was going to be in my head, but I heard your voice. And it saved my life. You're going to save some lives. You're going to reach people that don't look like you in different places in the world that will say to you, I heard your voice. I was in a dark place and you brought me out. I needed to hear that. All of us have our moments in the Garden of Gethsemane when we need a word. And something I talked to the group about, that words activate faith, words stimulate courage and hunger and determination and a drive. And as you look at yourself, look at your goals and dreams, there are three things that's very important that I encourage you to do, that I do when I'm speaking. Affirm people constantly. I open up with, you have something special. You have greatness in you. I do that deliberately. They're not getting that anywhere. Abraham Lincoln went to church and his chauffeur asked him, did you enjoy the service? He said, no. Was the sermon good? Yes. Was it scripturally based? Yes. The chauffeur pulled over. Why didn't you enjoy it? Because he didn't challenge me to do something great with my life. You are challenging people to get out of their comfort zone. A comfort zone where their dreams and their potential and their story and their genius and their abilities go to die. You're activating them to become a participant in their lives and not be dependent upon the government. You're teaching them how to be focused.
Yeah.
I don't care anything about the Epstein files. It's not moving the needle for me.
Right.
It's not putting any money in my pocket. It's not going to help me pay my grandchildren's college education so they can graduate from college without a debt.
Come on.
Teaching people how to focus on things that bring out the best in them. This is what you've been doing. And this community that you have created. And the standards that you have set. That's what I admire about you, your standard. There's a saying, judge a man not by what he does, but what he does that he doesn't have to do. And the true quality of a man is what he does when no one's looking. I was talking to you about an issue, and this morning I got a phone call from my daughter. Said, Andy, handle it. I said, what did I tell you? I know who I'm working with. He's not like everyone else. Henry David Thoreau said, do not go where the path may lead. Go where there's no path and leave a trail.
Yeah.
Les, you said something, and it's something that I've come to realize, and oftentimes when my wife and I go out to eat, and she's like, you're always trying to give a lecture. And she's like, why do you always care so much? And what I've come to realize is that somebody is always setting the standard. And either you are teaching somebody to raise their standards, or they're teaching you to lower your standards. And I have found that that's been consistent at this point. I want to go into the locker room for a second and have a locker room conversation. And sometimes locker room conversations or kitchen table conversations are not comfortable. We open up these doors and we let everyone else in here who is pursuing their goals, pursuing their dreams, pursuing their vision, and everyone in the room. What is the true cost of greatness that no one talks about that would clear 98% of the room?
The price. The price. Most people, the majority of people that you speak to are not going to do it. They're not going to do it. That this is hard work, and hard work, H-A-R-D and H-E-A-R-T. That I had many opportunities to quit when I was on the road. I left Miami on a Greyhound bus going to Dallas, Texas to learn from a guy named Ed Foreman what he was doing, executive development. And my mother fixed me a pot of marinated frog legs. They called me Frog Man on the bus. We would trade sandwiches and stuff on the bus. But he said they were making fun of me, that this guy came here on the Greyhound bus. I was the only one. And he said, where's the Frog Man? I stood up. He said, Frog Man, you're going to get more out of this than anybody. And I asked, why are you saying that, Ed? He said, because you came here on a bus, the majority of people here flew in. You paid a bigger price.
That's
Let me
good.
share something with you. When you think about what you had to do to get here, to reinvent yourself after your corporate job, there was something in you that said, I've had it. I'm not employable. That's not me anymore. There's something in you. And there has to be that part of yourself that's a non-negotiable. When I was 5 years old, and I heard my mother cleaning a room and clapping her hands. Mama, what is it, Leslie? Why are you clapping your hands? Don't you worry about it, boy. Just clean those spots up on the floor in the kitchen. And she came in the room and said, Miss Harris, your hat is not in this room. She said, go in the other room down this hall, this mansion she had. And then once again, I heard my mother clapping her hands. Mama, why are you clapping your hands? She's irritated. Didn't I tell you? Don't ask me anymore. Clean the spots off the floor. And then Miss Harris came over. I can tell you why she's clapping her hands. Why, ma'am? I stood up and I looked in the eyes. Said, this time, you're not supposed to look white people in the eyes. You go to jail for that. I looked her in the eyes. And she said, when I can't see colored people, when I have them looking for something in another room, I make them clap their hands and make sure they're not stealing. I dropped that washcloth. I said, my mother is not a thief, Miss Harris. She loves you. She loves your children. She'll never steal from you. No one knows my mother like I do, and she's not a thief. And she was shocked, startled, because I was talking back. And so got back down, I was cleaning the floor, soap and water going everywhere. And on the way back across the Venetian Causeway, I was looking out the window, crying. And my mother said, what's wrong with you, Leslie? I said, I want to be a man. So you'll be a man one day when you're 18. I want to be a man now, Mama. She said, why? I said, because if I was a man now, we wouldn't have to clean people's homes. I'll buy you a big, beautiful home. If I was a man now, we wouldn't have to wait for the people that you work for to eat, and they give us the leftovers. I would be able to buy groceries for us. And if I was a man now, nobody will ever make you clap your hands because they think that you're stealing. And she said, Miss Harris told you that, didn't she? Yes, ma'am. And that's why I want to be a man. You'll never have to work again when I turn 18. And when I turn 18, my mother never had to work again. I'm old school. I don't believe that a woman should pay bills. I'm not saying that. But a man, I'm not talking about a grown boy or a sperm donor. I'm talking about a man that you make.
Hold on, Les. Hey, Cass, close your ears real quick. Close your ears. Oh, Cass, no, get off stage. She's spoiled, like, she's spoiled.
Let me tell you, okay, this is personal, I never said this publicly. When Gladys and I were married, there's two things that happened, it's dramatic. She took me to her house in Vegas. And so I said, I can't spend the night here. She said, why? I said, this place has been soiled. we got to go someplace else. No, we got to go to Caesar's Palace. I get us a suite up there. But anyhow, as the relationship progressed and we decided to get married, she'd never, ever went in a house that she hadn't purchased. So when we went to do the closing in this house, she took her check out, I took mine out, and I took her check and I tore it up. Her mother's name was Graham, so Graham said, "What a man." I said, "Your money don't spend it." And so but the challenge is, my mother said, if your wife got a job and a husband too, one of them's got to go. So that was my orientation from Aunt Mamie Brown, instilled in me to make it happen. And they asked her, when the King World paid me $5 million to do a talk show, how did you know you can raise 7 children?
You said that real fast. How much did they pay you?
$5 million. Yeah, $5 million.
What year was that?
I don't know years, I know quotes. Somebody asked Einstein for his phone number and he went to a payphone. The guy said, "You Einstein, don't you know your number?" He said, "I don't put trivial information in my mind." Oh, behave. Yeah, but what was I telling you just now? For the show, that what it showed me in that time and where my life was, I had to ask myself, who am I? And how did I get here? And what do I need to do to take my life further? Because you don't want to ever peak. You want to peak to peak. You want to P-E-A-K to P-E-E-K. And not settle. And in that experience, I realized the value of being able to control your own destiny. And when reporters asked my mother, "How did you know you can raise 7 children by yourself as a single mom?" She said, "I just believe the Lord will make a way somehow."
Yeah.
So one of the things I tell people, don't ask how you're going to do it. Don't ever ask how. That's none of your business. How?
Right.
Because you get stuck on how. That's what I got stuck on. How can I do that? What they're doing, and I don't have corporate experience. I don't have an MBA or a PhD. And I have no background, no paper behind my name. So I convinced myself that I couldn't do it for years until I got the how out of the way. Commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established. That's why I say speak. Speakers speak. Impact, build audiences. I was in Chicago, and there were like 23 people in the audience set up for 600. And all the other speakers there, they came in, they saw that. People were packing up to leave. And I said, "I'm Les Brown." They said, "We know who you are." I said, "I'm going to speak." I said, "There's only 26 people here." I said, "They got up and they came. I'm going to speak to them. Y'all keep on packing up, but I'm going to speak to them. Where's the microphone?" I spoke to them. In the audience, and I did not know, a member of the International Meeting Planners Association. Out of 23 people in that room, that one person got me over 300 speaking engagements. At that time, around $35,000 a speech.
Wow.
Okay? So you just don't know. But every time you speak, you become more confident. Every time you speak, you discover things about yourself and things about the audience. Some people want information. Some people want a quote. Some people want a story. Some people want humor. Some people want fire. They want the belly, the fire that's in your belly. You got to get the butter from the duck. And so you want to have the flexibility and versatility to speak to any type of audiences, because there are audiences inside of each audience. Dr. King did I Have a Dream over 200 times. before he did it at the Washington Monument. Barack Obama, I used to live in Chicago, the audacity of hope. I saw him give that speech numerous times in Chicago. So your message, don't let your message get old to you. I see people have been giving a message and they stop and they want to switch up and do something else. I learned a very good lesson. God brought me in and I left out the disc jockey story. He said, hey Dad, you gotta go back there and tell them how you became a disc jockey. I paid you $65,000. I said, I'm happy to do it because the check is already cleared. Yeah, so don't let your story get old to you. You just find ways in which you have the versatility and flexibility to fit your speech for any type of audience. People are always going to need hope. People are going to always want to seek self-actualization. They're always going to want to have more, to improve themselves. And that's where you come in. Because life be life, and stuff happens to everybody. But I never saw anyone die when I was holding my mother's hand and saw her look off in the distance. The night before she passed, she said to Wesley and I slept at the foot of the bed, Wesley got on the other side of the bed so she would not try and get up. And I remember her saying, turn the lights out. And I said, Mama, it's dark in here, there are no lights on. I can see the lights, turn the lights on. And I said to Wesley, Mama, see the light. And the next afternoon, she was gone. But what it showed me, and what you're doing, and why all of you here, this is a God moment. You could have been anywhere else.
Yeah.
And there's something called a sense of oughtness. There's something in you that said, go.
Yeah.
Because success is not convenient.
Yeah.
You have to accommodate it. And when you have a calling on your life, you talked about the price. It's going to be hard. But if you're doing something that's it's a calling on your life, you will do the hard. If you do what is easy, quit, come up with excuses, your life will be hard. But if you do what is hard, your life will be easy. Just look at, I'm 80, and I'm still doing it. Yeah.
I was thinking about this. It was 2009 when we started working together, and I came into the Platinum Speaker Program, and we were developing the story about my mom. That was 2009. Someone could probably look it up, but I think it was probably 2020 is when I delivered a speech for a direct sales company that Dr. Tracy Lynn put me in front of the CEO. And they brought me in and had this 45-minute speech that my team put on YouTube, and they were supposed to put it as private, and they accidentally made it public.
Yes.
And there's a gentleman that works with this company by the name of Goldcast that looks for compelling stories.
Yes.
And he happened to sit through the entire 45-minute presentation.
Evan Michaels. Yes.
And he found this story.
Yes.
And they featured it. But what I thought was hilarious was when that video went viral and got millions of views, that people were like, wow, oh my goodness, he blew up. When I had been working and telling that story since 2009 in those 2-minute drills, sharing it in my mom's backyard, talking to the trees and acting as if there was an audience, sharing it over, you telling me, but wait a second, we gotta go a little deeper. And you keep saying, you know how I keep talking about my mama, Mamie Brown? I want you to do the same thing with your mom, Andy. I want you to do the same. And I kept telling the story over and over and over again. And one of the things I keep repeating to them is you will get tired of telling your story before your story gets tired of working for you.
Yeah. Yes.
Write that down. That's true. Man, just Andy. A disc jockey story. How Milton Butterball Smith said no. I kept showing up. Who would have thought that somebody gonna pay me to tell that story 16 times in 1 month? Flew me to Sweden to tell that same story and paid me $640,000. You don't know what it is that you share and how it's going to land. When I mentioned did I tell you about the person I paid several $1,000s to prepare me to speak for corporations, and he said I wouldn't hire you? Did I tell you that story?
No.
I paid this guy several $1,000s to teach me how to speak to corporations because I wanted to go and speak for AT&T, Procter & Gamble, McDonald's Corporation, General Electric, IBM, Xerox. I've spoken for them, right? And still have recurring speaking opportunities. Well, at the end of the training with me, he said, hey, I like you. Can we have a tough conversation? I said, yes. He said, I wouldn't hire you. I said, why? He said, look, I have an MBA. I have a PhD. I have several years of corporate experience. I'm a vice president. You don't have any college. You have no corporate experience. You're talking about earning more in 1 hour. At that time, I was getting $25,000 an hour. Then I'm earning a whole month. He said, you're a good disc jockey. Go back to WVKO.
Wow. Oh, wow. Hey.
I said, thank you. His wife called me. She said, Les, can I talk to you? I said, yes. We watched you and Mike get in the car from the kitchen window. And I asked him, is he going to listen to you? And he said, no. And she said, I was shocked. I said, he looks up to you. He paid you several $1,000s to train him. I said, I know. Why do you think he's not going to listen to you? And he said, he doesn't know enough to know he can't do it. You don't know enough to know what you can't do.
Right.
You have to be intelligently ignorant.
Yeah. Yeah.
According to the laws of aerodynamics, a bumblebee isn't supposed to fly because its huge body is too large to be held up by its puny wings, but the bumblebee doesn't know it. So when I train these doctors, I did interviews with over 40 doctors. Do you know when the patients are compliant? Do you know the ones who will throw the prescription in the garbage can? What is it? Tell me things about their personality that you discover when you're interacting with them and you come in with that clipboard. Tell me what your actions are with them just by them coming in and say, hey, I'm so glad to see you, Andy. That decreased 26% the possibility of you filing a malpractice suit against me. So I did my homework. I studied them. And that's why they took me to Sweden. And when I spoke to 5,000 doctors there, they asked me questions and said, Dr. Brown, may I ask you a question? The guy who was the host said, he's not a doctor. In fact, he was labeled that nigga was mentally retarded. How do you know so much about our practice? I said, I studied you. You want to know who you're talking to. Do your homework and they will know it. Yes, and so in this space where we are right now, that what's most important, your belief in yourself. I can tell you that is so important. When I used to go to meetings with people who were dealing with cancer, and they kept talking with a fatalistic conversation. And I said, excuse me. I said, I don't want to participate but this is the cancer support group. I said, I'm not going to participate in hearing you talk like you're going to the cemetery tomorrow. The environment affects you. Does that make sense? Yeah. And so I separated myself from them. And on the road, I kept listening to Dr. Norman Vincent Peale. I couldn't listen to Z because he has his southern twang. Howard Thurman, Malcolm X, Dr. King. I was listening to them, and Jesse, I Am Somebody. And, Adam Clayton Powell. He had this powerful speech. Keep the faith, baby. He was a bad brother, you know? And so listening to all these speakers, and then I wanted to make it mine. This is what you want to study, people, and then you take what you see and you own it. And trust me on this. Let me tell you where you are right now. Just think about this. When I was coming up, I knew the president of the NAACP was Benjamin Hooks. I knew the president of the Urban League was Vernon Jordan. Who's the president of the NAACP now? Oh, wow. Vernon Jordan. Who's the president of the Urban League now? We don't know. And Malcolm is sick now. Not Malcolm, but Jesse. Jesse's retired. We got a vacuum. It's not Al Sharpton. We got a vacuum. This is your time. There's an opening here for you now. For you now. Where people now need to believe in themselves. That they got this. Yeah. That we've been here before. This is not the end of the story. Yeah. Come on. We are spitting in the face of our forefathers when we turn to drugs, alcohol, or criminal behavior that does not represent the highest that is in us. Come on. We were born for greatness. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chest we rock. Felt in the days when hope unborn had died, yet with a steady beat have not our weary feet come to the place for which our fathers sighed. We've come over a way that with tears have been watered. We've come treading a path through the blood of the slaughter. We are the descendants of the ones that would not die.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
What's your question?
Les, Kaz and I, when we met, we were actually in a network marketing business.
Kaz up here busting the move as they go.
You saw her. You see Miss Kaz. We're in a network marketing business. And our upline in the business, his name was Byron Nelson. Mm-hmm. And when Byron, and you know Byron, because Byron came and trained with you. And when Byron would host his sessions, we're at this conference and Byron said, hey, listen, the session's gonna start at 1 o'clock. And so all of us, we would look at the calendar for this event and we're like, now this doesn't make sense because we're in session at 1 o'clock. And he said, well, who said? I said 1 p.m. And he would actually start the sessions in his suite at 1 a.m. knowing that the conference was going to start the next morning at 8 a.m. because he wanted to see who was going to show up. And as we began to build our teams and we were getting frustrated and we were starting to turn into managers of the people as opposed to bringing new life into our direct sales business. And I was complaining one time. And I was trying to get some people to get it. And there's something that he said in the conversation. He said, I'd rather have ignorance on fire than intelligence on ice.
Break that down for me.
And when he was saying, I'd rather have ignorance on fire, those are the ones who are willing to take action even though they don't know it all. Versus those that are just gathering information and just sitting on it. We've been here over these past 3 days. They've had the opportunity to hear from Alicia Little. They heard from Felicia Hatcher, who is the CEO of Pharrell's Black Ambition, who has spoken all over the place, and through Pharrell's Black Ambition have given away over literally $100 million to entrepreneurs. They heard from Jamal talk about how the mind works. They heard from Laura Wright, who talked about sales. They've been taking down a whole bunch of notes. What is the thing that we have to do that allows us to take all the information that we are receiving over a conference like this, that allows us to actually be able to implement it and produce into results? Because clearly they can't act on everything. So what does someone do when they leave a conference like this?
Keep the hunger alive.
Yeah.
You have to know what you're hungry for. That's major. I was hungry. I said, Mama, I will take care of you. You will not go to a nursing home. She did not. Mama, I will buy you a home. You will not be cleaning homes when I turn 18. She did not. I'm going to be my own boss. I was not fired. I was given my life back.
That's good.
Come on.
A job, the journey of the broke. You've got to be hungry. 9 out of 10 people will die rather than change. You have to have a part of yourself that says, I'm going to make this happen no matter what. I was with an organization called Get Motivated. They did a poll. They never had an African American speaker. And so they called me to be in the lineup. Brian Tracy, Zig Ziglar,
Wow.
Bob Proctor, and several others. And they had me. Each one of them had an hour and a half. They said, Les Brown, okay, you're closing it out. You have 15 minutes. I said, I'm not going to tell you his name is Peter Lowe. I said, 15 minutes? That gives me 5 minutes to introduce myself, 5 minutes for a speech that I have to connect with them, and 5 minutes to promote the products at the end of my speech. And if I don't sell enough products, I get cut. He said, we gave you a chance. 15 minutes. You use that as an excuse for not being able to sell enough products? And all the speakers in the room, and they looked, and none of them said, they just dropped their head. And I looked around the room. That's one of the best things that happened to me as a speaker. Because I went out there, and I milked that 15 minutes. I sold $55,000 worth of products.
Come on.
The other speakers were averaging over $200,000. So they cut me because I only did like $53,000. But I said to myself, when I left there, I said, I'm going to become so good, they're going to call me the headline this, and they're going to pay me back. I'm going to be, every time I speak, whoever's in the room, I'll make a paraplegic jump up and run. I'm going to be so good, I'm going to be such a beast when I get the microphone. They're going to have to reorganize the lineup. And sure enough, they called for me to be the lineup, the head of it. And at that time, I was at $25,000. I charged them $100,000.
That's right.
So there's something that sometimes I have struggled with when I'm looking to push to the next level. You did a podcast interview with Ed Milet. Ed Milet's an extraordinary businessman, has won the #1 personal development podcast. And one of the things that I realize is that, and Ed Milet has brought this up, that oftentimes the people who are highly successful, many of which came from something, meaning poverty, struggle, trauma, and they're running away from something. And then there's another version where they already had it. But those in the middle are sometimes trying to pull the lever. My mom came to this country with $150 to her name. I was blessed and fortunate to be in middle-class neighborhoods. My mom was with my grandma, basically sleeping in what you would basically call a foyer area and rolling it up when the rain came and standing and huddling together. I did it. I was in a place called Plantation, Florida. And there are times when I am looking to level up that I can't necessarily find the engine of something I'm running away from. Mm-hmm. And comfort has always been my place in life. So I'm always trying to find the lever. What is the lever to pull to be able to get to the next level? What do you say for those people who are not necessarily running away from something and didn't necessarily get something handed to them on how they up-level their identity to get to the next level?
The Jews, and I went to Auschwitz, who survived the inexpressible cruelties of Nazism, had three things going for them. They had some spiritual belief system that they adhered to. It gave them the wherewithal to handle what they were going through. They either had some loved one that they were determined to see, or they had some cause that they believed in, that they'd committed their life to. I believe that most people go through life, and if they don't have a reason, something that they can anchor themselves in, that when the storms of life come, and they're going to come, things are going to happen to you. It's going to happen to the people that you love, the people that you care about. My best friend, when he passed, I used to sleep under his bed at Jackson Memorial Hospital. I was with him, holding his hand. And what I learned is that we're only here for a little time.
Yeah.
And to live, you have to decide, I want to live a life that matters.
Yes.
Yeah.
That means something. Most people, after 2 weeks, there are no conversations or stories about it. My goal is to live a life that matters. That people will say when my children or grandchildren hear my name, they say, oh, Les Brown's your grandfather? Oh, I know him. He's a hungry man, Mamie Brown's boy. He changed my life.
Yeah.
The people that are in this room, they're the few who go to life is straight and narrow. They want a part of them, even if they haven't said it out loud. I want my life to count.
Yes. Yes.
The majority of people not like that. And that's why it's very important that you make it okay to let certain relationships go. Because they're not good for you.
Yeah.
I told you that if you're in a room of high selling performers and somebody's just 25 feet away from you, and they're low performer, your performance will drop by 30%. You earn within $2,000 to $3,000 of your closest friends. When I found that out, I got away from all my broke friends. I wanted to be more. And I did not know until I elevated my relationships that making $25,000 an hour or $65,000 an hour or $125,000 an hour in the United States, when I go to Ghana or to the UK, $225,000, I did not know that was available to me. I didn't know. There's some things, that's why we're taught, eye has not seen.
Yeah.
There's some things that you can do, eye has not seen, ear has not heard.
Yes.
I didn't know. And I'm saying to you, this thing called life, I love when Henry David Thoreau said he wanted to get life in a corner and suck the marrow out of it. I'm gonna milk this thing and see what else is in there. This is what you want to go all out, because we have children. We're here because somebody sacrificed for us.
Yeah.
Somebody went through some stuff for us, and we owe it to them.
That's right.
And so, when I think about my mother, she left home at 13. Her father beat her with a buggy whip because she defied him and was feeding an alligator that she considered her pet. And he said, I told you not to go down there anymore. And he beat her with a buggy whip. And this is one of the stories she told me. She was on the couch and they had to the neighbor put some type of ointment on her skin so the sheets would not stick to her. And he came to her in her room and said, Mamie, you gotta go. I said, what do you mean, Daddy? You gotta go. I had a dream and experience with your mother, who's dead. And she told me, let you go. He put her out, drove her to town, and left her. 13. She had to face the world. And so she went, got a job in a grocery store, and she slept in the barn. You know, in Stewart, Florida. I went to Stewart to speak. But just the horrible life, the things she went through at 13, I didn't want to ask. But still found it in her heart. She never had any children, and said to Mr. Curry and the neighbors, boy, she'd like to raise a child. And when she got the call, Mamie, this lady got some twins. You said you want a boy, would you take two? She said, yes. He said, get dressed. Things that change your life. When she went in the house and saw Dorothy Bell Rucker, and she looked up and said, Mr. Curry told me about you. You Mamie Brown? She said, yes. And he said, Mr. Moss said Mr. Moss gave us to him. She gave Mr. Moss us, me and Wesley, and got up in Mama's face and said, you promise not to separate my boys? She said, I promise. I never had any children. She got closer. She looked in the eyes for about 5 minutes. She said, you swear to God you're going to take care of them? She said, I swear to God. I swear. And just stood there and looked at her. He said, it seemed like another 10 minutes. And finally, he said, she looked at Mr. Moss and said, give them to her. She's the one. Give them to her. And she took us in her arms, got in the car, and he started pulling away slowly, and he heard her scream, wait, wait. And he said, Mama asked, you think she changed her mind? I said, Mamie, I don't know. I just met her with you. I don't know. And she came to the window again. You promise you will take care of my boys? I said, yes. And she kissed us that last time. Now dig this. My first engagement out of Florida, Barbara King Spiritual Center, Dorothy Bill Rucker, my mother was on the front row.
Wow.
Did y'all catch that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Biological mother.
Right.
Yeah, she did
Right.
not speak to me. She knew me, but I didn't know her. And my niece, who I met, said, as you were talking, your mother was crying, saying, that's my boy. And she said, I thought until I met you, she was just agreeing with you. But she was saying, that's my boy.
Wow.
That's why we don't know what people are going through.
Yeah.
But let's listen to this, and this is personal. For a long time, and I didn't know, I was sabotaging myself unconsciously in relationships because the story unconsciously that I was telling myself, if the woman who gave birth to me left me, it's just a matter of time before you go. And if you don't go, I'm gonna become so damn toxic, you're gonna have to go. I'm gonna make you get out of here. I didn't even know. When I was awakened in the middle of the night, movie called Magnolia, strong statement. Y'all write this down. We might be through with our past, but our past is not through with us. I didn't know. And once a friend of mine named Karen Bell got me to face that. Why do you move so much? Because I can. No, that's not it. Get still. Pull over. I want you to get still. Take a deep breath. Close your eyes. I want to ask you a question. When you went to the apartment that you just got in Chicago, what did you say to yourself in your mind when you turned the key and you walked in? I said, I'd like the home. No, that's what you said verbally. What did you say in your mind? I said, Mama's not here. She said, you moved 16 times searching for your mother. Handle it, Grace. Deal with it. Until you handle it with grace, it will stay in your face. Well, you know all that. You know, boy, you in order. Y'all got me down there.
So
Tell me what, let me get some, tell me what y'all getting out of this. Tell me.
Everything.
Reality check.
Breakthrough.
This is the best master class that I could have ever had. Master class on life. And our businesses, everything that we're doing is life. And you are teaching us how to live it through your life and your example.
Yeah.
This is
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And so I want to ask you two more questions. Mamie Brown has always been such a huge part of your why. But there is still a fire in you. And when you show up, you show up. What is the why now? What is the thing that burns inside of you that at 80, and by the way, doesn't he look good? Yeah. What is the thing that burns inside of you? What is the why now, today?
I'm here because of God's grace and mercy. I should have been out of here a long time ago. A long time ago. I've had a gun pulled on me twice. Told one guy, shoot, and the gun cocked. He pulled the trigger, didn't go off. This was not the Les Brown that you see sitting here now. That guy's gone. I've had so many things happen. Doctors said to me, I'm sorry, I have heard them say on the other side of the curtain, give him palatable care. What's palatable mean? You know? And it's just to make him comfortable. Hell, I don't want to be comfortable. I got a fight on my hands.
Yeah.
But they'll make me comfortable. You know, you're talking about your PSA is 1 to 4 is normal. Mine was 2,400. You know? And you know, my first prayer, you know, my pre-saved years, Lord, I don't need 2 ankles. Move it to my ankle. Take one of my knees, Lord. You know, move this thing around over here. I didn't even have to get well. But that I'm still here. The people, when I go in there, they change doctors a lot. The guy said, you are 80? He said, man, I'm 42, I don't have no hair on my head. You are 80? I said, well, grass don't grow on a busy street. I said, you've been busy. But I want my life to count.
Yes.
I want the sacrifice of those who went before us
Yeah.
to mean something.
Yes.
I want, when people hear my name, say, you know, he's good for something. We have so much talent that we've lost to drugs and alcohol. Good people who made bad choices. How many of you know people like that?
Yeah.
You know, and so my goal, I want to be a person that, as a result of the work that I do, that somebody will lay their head on a pillow and feel a sense of safety and belief in themselves that I got this. I could have given up, but that's not Mamie Brown. I'm Mamie Brown's boy. And Dorothy Bell Records, pride and joy.
Yeah.
I've got 2 mothers and I'm not ashamed. I've got 2 mothers and I love them just the same. Yeah, I love this. And you have put more fire on me. Now I'm even fired up even more so. Being here with you and all my grandchildren.
So as you continue on for the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years.
I got a special request.
Yes.
Are you ready for it?
Yes.
I would like for us to do a training together with our grandchildren.
Y'all gotta bring all your friends, your cousins, your aunties, and everybody else too.
Let's do it.
Alright? We gonna put y'all, hey, we gonna put y'all to work. Committed to figure it out. Now y'all throwing it back at us.
Don't hesitate. Don't hesitate.
The more you pay attention, that's at the level in which you expect to come. You just hit me with everything.
Can you imagine if Malcolm and Dr. King
Woo, woo, woo. yeah.
talk together?
Oh, yeah.
God never send solos. He always sends twos, Elijah and Elijah.
Yeah, yeah.
Just imagine what that is. Just imagine if Jesse and Al Sharpton didn't see each other as competitors.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
What can come out of that?
Yes.
Yeah, and so there's so much that, because we cover several generations. Yeah, and it's fun.
And as we get ready to wrap up, my question for you is, what is the charge for the audience? How do we carry your legacy as you continue to carry it yourself? But as there's so many people in this room, they've got a Les Brown story. All the folks in this room have heard me mention your name literally thousands of times. You've made so many deposits in me, and I continue to make deposits in them, and they make deposits into their community. But what is the charge for us? How do we continue to honor your legacy as you continue for the next couple of decades to continue to do the work? But how do we honor the legacy?
I think that, I was thinking as you were talking about that, before I speak, I always say, more of thee, less of me.
Yes.
I think it's very important that we know that we are on a mission for God.
Yes. Yes.
And when you give it everything you have, you take care of the rest. I've had so many incredible experiences that I know I didn't do it. I know it. I mean, just imagine. I was just at Cancer Centers of America, they call it the City of Hope, just 2 weeks ago. And they just said, your PSA is below 0. So that says to me that we have an assignment. I have an assignment. There's the greater work. These things ye shall do. When the disciples were amazed at the miracles that Jesus performed. And greater works shall ye do. We're here to do the greater work. Commit yourself to do the greater work. There are people that's waiting for us, depending on us. There are audiences that are listening for your voice. That your life matters. You are here on a mission for God.
Yes.
You're going to go through some stuff. But I have this affirmation I say to myself every day when I wake up. Lord, whatever I face today, together, you and I can handle.
Yes.
And I believe that. You were chosen to be here. You are the chosen ones. So honored to be in your presence.
Let's give it up for the legendary Les Brown.